Welcome back to the Stick 'em Up podcast. Brundi, we are, what is it, 5, 6 days away from the regular season starting. We took a bit of a break last week. We missed one of our episodes. We wanted to save a bunch of stuff for this one, and my God, did we get it. We have so much to talk about. There is no shortage of news. We got stuff all over the league. We got extensions, injuries, we got some gameplay stuff, we got extensions for coaches. There's rumored signings. There's rumored guys who won't be signed by teams. There's captaincy changes. There is almost every kind of hockey news you can get. We even saw some highlight reel goals in the preseason. Where do you want to start with it?
Yeah, like you mentioned, there is
There's a lot.
Yeah, we're only a few days away. We're obviously recording this on the Friday, so the day that this is coming out, we're recording it the morning of.
Right.
And it's honestly probably maybe a good thing we took this route because it added on to a bunch of stuff here that we can talk about today. I think best we'll just start top to bottom. We'll just start with kind of the bigger stuff, and that is all of the signings and extensions that are happening right now, and we got some. Well, they're all pretty big ones. And then the last one we'll do, because I'm assuming that's the one we'll talk about the most, is the biggest one of all of them.
Yeah. So we'll get into them here, and the first one we have is we have Mason McTavish extending, or that's actually a re-sign. That's not even an extension. He was an RFA, signs with the Anaheim Ducks, 6 years, $7 million AAV deal. I mean, obviously they didn't want to go into the season without him signed, so that in itself is a win. But I mean, 6 years, $7 million, like especially with the cap going up, we're seeing crazier and crazier numbers out there. That seems pretty reasonable. What is he? 22, 23? Like some people are saying they thought he would have broken out a bit more, but he's still got
it's
so much time.
It's kind of like what we mentioned before. Well, actually, it was just what you and I were talking about the other day when talking about, Jackson Lacombe, who we'll get into, is the system that Cronin was running there wasn't working for them, right? So to now really be in a spot there where, you've got a new system, you've got a great coach in Joe Quenneville, the off-ice stuff, say what you want about him, but in terms of as a coach and what he gets out of his players is a pretty damn good coach. And especially with these younger players, what we saw him do with the numerous guys that came out of that system in Chicago. I think it's going to be great. It's good to see that Anaheim's willing to give out long-term extensions now. The whole battle that went on with Zegras before and whatnot, and Anaheim really not wanting to. They kind of starting to feel like Ottawa, pretty much. They didn't want to pay their young guys. They didn't want to give them long-term deals. They wanted to do a bridge deal, and we don't want to pay you much. We'll figure it out down the road. And I think that was a big part of ultimately why Zegras didn't work out there, why he's no longer there. So to have McTavish signed now and actually have him be able to at least join for the back half of camp is huge, as opposed to just go kind of signing on like say Sunday or Monday, right? And then you're kind of just thrown into the regular season. He can at least get some reps with the team and, kind of get it going. And now he can just focus on playing. He's locked in with Anaheim, and
because he was
do his thing.
He was practicing with like his old OHL team or something, wasn't he? Like he was using their facility up in Ottawa.
I don't even know. I'm gonna look it up here. I'm not 100% sure he even played with the 67s.
I heard that he was practicing with them, so I just made the assumption that he did, but maybe that's just close to his.
Yeah, he never did.
Maybe that's just close to his hometown or something. But either way, luckily they don't have to worry about it now. They got him locked in for quite a while. And yeah, I mean, also with Anaheim, we might as well talk about it while we're here. Like you said, Jackson Lacombe, an 8-year deal, $9 million AAV. I think when that came out, that sticker price shocked a good amount of people. A lot of people they were expecting him to get, I think a lot of people were almost expecting a bridge deal with him. And if it went long term, certainly not this much money, but Jackson Lacombe was pretty good last year, and
He
it's
was
not a big sample
in the
size.
back half. He was
But
very good in the back half once they moved on from Cam Fowler, who we'll be talking about Cam
we'll
Fowler
talk
pretty
about
quick
him too.
here. I mean, once they signed McTavish to his, you know, you could easily see a long term deal happening here. Now that we know that Anaheim's not afraid to do that.
Yeah.
Is Jackson Lacombe worth $9 million right now? Absolutely not. Could he be as early as next season or even by the halfway point of this season? 100%. I think there's so much to like about his game. And you can see what he could potentially become. So, is it a good deal right now? No. But is it one of those ones we could look back on in 2 years or 1 year and we'd be like, this is a Jack Hughes type deal. This is a Matt Boldy deal, a deal that didn't look great at the moment, but very quickly you're like, okay, this is going to be a steal down the line. Is exactly what this deal is. And I mean, for Anaheim, if you get out, if he does turn out to be your number one defenseman of the future, you got him locked in for 8 years, pretty damn good.
And not only that, but I'm also thinking of teams, obviously Anaheim's, it's not one of the most favorable destinations, it's not a tax-free state or anything, but it is a little
It's
more
the least desirable of the 3 California teams.
and it is more desirable than a place like Canada, so this comparison's a bit stranger, but it does make me think of, they're kind of avoiding a situation that they backed themselves into like Calgary, where they had all their big names coming up at the same time, and as soon as Johnny leaves, well, okay, now Kachuk's got a foot out the door. Well, he's gone. Well, now what do we do with Lindholm? Like it's this chain reaction effect, and locking both of these guys in really, that's a bit of a selling point to get other guys to stay. Depending on how good they are, it might be like, hey, I'm better than that dude and he makes 9 mil. So you might end up having to pay some of these guys pretty handsomely, but at the same time, it it shows that there's a little security in who their line mates are up at the top. So it
And
does make it attractive that way.
Anaheim, because they've kind of got the 3 stages that they have to go through with their young core. Because again, they're kind of coming out of rebuild, and the first step was McTavish and Lacombe here. The next step, probably next offseason, it's going to be Cutter Gauthier and Leo Carlson, getting them re-signed, and potentially Zellweger. I think they're still trying to figure out, does he have a long-term future with the team when you've already got Jackson Lacombe and you've got Mintyukov? Do you need Zellweger? They'll figure that out. And then the final step, and I guess they also got Dostal done this offseason. So that's also part of this step one.
Yeah.
The final one would be your, eventually it's gonna be the Beckett Senecas, the Roger McQueens, those guys, because they're kind of the last group of that core that they're building that are gonna need extensions. So they've got the first stage done. Probably gonna be 2 very good deals here in a couple years. And again, to be willing to actually give out long-term deals is exactly what they want.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't
Very
keep
different from
bridging
San
all
Jose's
these guys.
approach.
Right.
Because, I mean, San Jose had the opportunity to lock up Eklund to a long-term deal. They opted for a bridge deal there because I think they want to wait until... And maybe it's a little bit different for San Jose because, Anaheim's got a lot of good players, but they don't have like a Celebrini type player.
I'll throw it out there. I think Carlson's knocking on the door of that spot, but it's not...
Potentially,
he's the top of the core versus, the guy, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean more so in the way of, Carlson didn't come in and have the immediate impact that a Celebrini had.
That's fair. And Celebrini's already better.
The way San Jose's approach is they want to make sure Celebrini's locked in, and then every other contract is kind of
now you build around it.
You build around that, and that kind of sets the bar of, you can reach the bar, but you're not going to be above it. Whereas with Anaheim, I mean,
Uh,
I think
for how
well
for how
within
long?
the
For how
well,
long,
that's the
right?
thing though, right? When you're talking about just their immediate core of Celebrini, Eklund, Smith, and potentially Misa. Misa might be a bit different because his is going to be a couple years down the road,
He's got 3
but
years on his ELC.
I would for San Jose, I wouldn't see a world where love
At
Will
least
Smith.
in
Don't
the
get me wrong,
first
but
year or
I don't see
two.
him getting more than Celebrini does because
Right. Right.
Celebrini's a Sidney Crosby type player.
Yeah.
In the sense of kind of does a little bit of everything, and that's
Yeah.
you can't replace that.
Yeah.
It's just too valuable in that. But overall for Anaheim, I'm okay with these deals.
I like him.
The
Just to
Jackson
make
Lacombe
it
deal
clear.
looks very good compared to the one right beside it. That's the exact same deal, but
Yeah,
we'll
actually.
talk about that in a sec.
Um, so McTavish was a signing, right? He
Yeah,
was an RFA with no deal. Lacombe was an extension, correct?
yeah.
So that means they're obviously talking to these guys about extension. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that we're going to see a ton of these right away. Because guys we've mentioned, Cutter Gauthier, Leo Carlson, they can both sign an extension right now. They have 1 year left, and then
Oh,
and
I
then
guess yeah.
so next season, then they'll be in the McTavish spot. But they could sign the extension. Mintyukov and Zellweger both in that spot too. All four of those guys could re-sign in the next week or extend rather. I
Yeah,
don't
but
see
I feel
all
like
of
if
them
you're in
happening,
the yeah,
but
because I especially because McTavish obviously had to sign, to
to
play.
play.
Jackson
Yeah.
Lacombe, I mean, if you're offered that deal, you're taking it right then and there because in
Yeah.
this moment you're not worth it. And even if you don't reach that level of being an Diamond Dog, who cares? You got offered 9 million.
That's a lot of
Whereas
money. That's a
you
lot of
look
money.
at Cutter Gauthier and Leo Carlson, how good they already are, and how much better the team's going to be. They're probably kind of for sure they got someone talking in their ear, saying, "Just play the season out a little bit, or even get halfway through the year. It's going to be a much better environment for you this year, a much better team. You're going to improve. You're better already as a player, and then you can cash in for an even bigger deal. Because right now, if
Yeah.
they both signed, they're probably both maybe a bit above where Jackson Lacombe is, but if they're both say mid-December and they're both over a point per game, they're on the top line, they're thriving, then they hold all the power in
Yeah.
negotiations. So yeah, if I was Anaheim,
I'm
I would try to lock him up now, but it might be a little tough when
yeah.
all these players see how much money they can be making and they want to get
I
every bit as they should.
yeah. Like I would oh man, I would love to know. I hope that if Anaheim is offering out these deals, I really hope we get to hear about it soon throughout the season, whenever, because surely you're not just throwing 9 by 8 at Jackson Lacombe and what the other two defensemen, Mintyukov, Zellweger, and then Gauthier and Carlson. What, you're just not offering them anything? Surely they've been offered something and they're in negotiations or something, right? Like it seems strange they would give such a hefty contract to one guy and like they're not even discussing it with the rest.
Well, so with the two defensemen, it kind of makes sense because I mean Zellweger again, they don't necessarily
Those ones a
know
bit less so.
if he's
Yeah.
got a spot there, whereas Mintyukov had a great rookie year, but kind of took a bit of a step back last year.
Hmm.
So Anaheim, not saying they are, but I'm assuming Anaheim's probably trying to lowball him, being like, where you had a rough last season,
Trying to
whereas,
get a bargain.
Mintyukov's probably sitting there like, well, I'll just go out there, have a great year, get back to where I was my rookie year, and then more money on the table for me. Whereas Anaheim's probably trying to get Mintyukov signed the most because he had a rough year last year. When that happens, you can try and get a player for cheaper and than you normally would, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, they'll be an interesting team to keep an eye on though, because yeah, they've got all these guys that they can extend at some point. I think at least three of them will. Zellweger is, I think still a great young player, but
It's hard to
he
tell.
was already their top defensive prospect, but now Mintyukov kind of jumped over him. Jackson Lacomb's now jumped over him. They got another guy.
They
On the
have
right,
they have so
Solberg.
many
I think they have
great
Solberg
young
as
guys.
well, who looked good in the
Yeah,
pre. So like
Steen
they
Solberg.
have so many. So is there even room for Zellweger? Tough to say.
Yeah, oh,
But
man,
we'll keep an
they
eye
have
on
the
with
amount of
Anaheim.
prospects is so goofy on that team. Like, and having a couple of them locked in, I do wonder. Some of these obviously older vets that they've brought in, like, do you think they're going to be in talks sometime soon with their captain Radko Gudas? Are they bringing him back, even if it's for he's already 35? Is it, hey, 2 mil a season for 2 more years? Make more money, come hang out, something like that, or like, does he want a bit more money? What is he looking for? Hell, maybe we see one of those huge term contracts. Maybe he gets 7 years at 2 mil, 1.5 mil, a very easy cap hit, and
Yeah,
over time it's just a bunch of money for him. So we'll have to keep an
that'd be
eye on them
interesting to
because
see.
Anaheim's a very interesting team this season. They could
Yeah,
they could be close to bottom of the barrel. They could make the playoffs. Like they could do anything. They could move some of these young guys. They could extend all of them. Like they are very much at a crossroads where they can do whatever they want.
yeah, yeah. The ball's in their court to go out there. They're in a weak division, so the door is open for them if they want to start to make a charge here. But we should move on from Anaheim here. Well, I guess we can talk about the one we kind of mentioned, this kind of the exact same deal as Jackson Lacombe. The New Jersey Devils re-signed Luke Hughes, not extended, re-signed because he was a RFA still, to an 8-year, $9 million deal. What are your thoughts on Luke Hughes here?
Listen, I think he's going to be a great player. I think he's going to be worth that. I This is nothing against Luke Hughes. I just think it is funny that we are in a point in the NHL where uh for those who didn't see our preseason predictions for the awards, I picked Jack Hughes to win the Art Ross. I picked Quinn Hughes to win the Hart, Norris, and Lindsay. They both are some of the best players in the entire league, and little brother Luke Hughes makes more money than either of them. He makes more money than both of them. That's obviously
Yeah, as of
a product of the cap
right now,
going
yeah.
up, but it is funny that he makes more than them. Uh, you needed to get him long term. Like, there's the whole, are they going to leave to go join Quinn? Is Quinn going to join them? Are they all going to try and hit free agency at the same time? What are they going to do? Like, it's as long as they're brothers and in the league, that kind of stuff's always going to be there. The best thing you can do is try and get these guys signed to as long of deals as possible and avoid bridge deals that'll make it more frequent talking about, oh, is he looking to get traded at the end of this deal or something. And you know now when Jack Hughes is up in what, 4, 5, 6 years, uh now that's a bit of a bargaining chip that New Jersey's going to have. Hey, your brother's still here, you guys have been great here, and we got him for another few years. Stick around with your bro, right? So on top of it
Yeah.
being a pretty decent deal, a bit steep right now, but they've got quite a few defensemen they can move out over the next few years. You know, it's going to look better and better, and it's also a bargaining chip to keep around, if he can be healthy, one of the best centers in the league, who also, he's kind of been the poster boy for value contract over the past 3 years now. That 8x8 looks incredible. So he,
Yeah, and
there's
we
a
mentioned
decent
that
chance
previously. Yeah.
that when it comes up, he's gonna want to get paid. He might not, but if he wants the bag, not only can his play earn it, he took a discount last time. So
Health is the biggest thing for that one though.
that is
Um,
also true.
yeah, I mean with Luke Hughes last year, 44 points, 3 points less than the year prior, but he also did play 11 less games, and he brought his plus minus up. Luke Hughes is it's still so tough to say with Luke Hughes because we know the offensive skill is there. The skating, I think, has improved tremendously. The defensive game has its issues, and that tends to happen with these young offensive defensemen. The problem is when are we going to see Luke Hughes break out? That's going to be the question for this year, and I think it is going to continue beyond this year because New Jersey, like we've talked about before, they do have that problem of so many defensemen. They have so many defensemen to the point where you had two young studs in Simone Nemec and Seamus Casey pushed out of the lineup last year, despite looking good when they got the opportunity to play.
Yeah. Nemec is a second overall pick, and they're holding him out of the lineup.
And so
he's not going to
Luke
stand
Hughes,
for that
we
for
know,
too long.
is good, but when you have so many good defensemen on your blue line, they all need playing time. And is this maybe the year where he gets to be on that top power play and you move Dougie Hamilton off? Or do you keep running it with Dougie Hamilton because you know how good he is, how much he has worked in that system and doing that? They got some stuff to figure out. And it is going to be tough for Luke Hughes to break out and have that, get to that 65, 70 point range at least when there's so many guys who's got to compete with on that blue line.
Yeah. I honestly, I wasn't a fan of the idea for a while, but I'm really starting to come around on the idea of I think they need to really consider moving on from Dougie Hamilton. I think they made the playoffs. They had one or two really good seasons, and they kind of estimated they were further along than they were. And they needed to stay the course more. They needed to, keep developing these young guys and bring everybody up. And instead they were like, nope, we're poised to win now. And all of a sudden they've got, two, how old are they? 35? Are they 36 yet? Two 35-year-old goalies. As soon as they age out, goaltending is gonna be a problem again. They've got all of these older defensemen, Brendan Dillon's 34, and they've got Pesci locked up forever. Like they've got so many older guys all of a sudden that are kind of bogging down these young guys from coming up. This is almost, they're like 1 or 2 years beyond where Montreal is right now for me. Montreal just took a huge step last year. They made the playoffs, and I don't think Montreal is going to do what New Jersey's doing, where they're buying all these guys, they're filling out the roster, they're going for it like now. I think Montreal is going to take their time. There's a good chance they make the playoffs this year, but it's going to be on the backs of the young guys. It's not going to be them bringing in all the free agents and stuff. And if they take their time, do it right, I think that's going to end up with a team like Montreal being in a bit of a better spot in 2 years than the Devils are.
Yeah, but I think that's actually a fair analysis of it. Yeah, overall, I like the deal though for the most part because we know what potentially could become of Luke Hughes, but again, it's one of those ones of like as of right now, is it worth it? No. Long term, could it be? Absolutely, but they need to let him grow. They can't keep kind of pushing him down and. You're part of this. Like he is supposed to be your number one guy, your top dog, and they're still kind of keeping him, locked up, and they're not allowing him to explode the way that we know he can. But eventually, that time will come. I don't know how long until then, but
I mean,
we'll see what happens with it.
It's funny because their family's just so insane. These Hughes, they jump in the league so fast. They're so talented. Like I really thought, I didn't think he was old, but I thought Luke Hughes was a little older. Less than a month ago, he turned 22. I thought he was at least 23, 24, but like a month ago, he was still 21. So he's got plenty of tread left on the tires. He's got so much room to grow. I do think he's going to break out in a huge way at some point, especially if his brothers are an indication. But Yeah, I do think it's going to end up working out for him really well. They got to make the room, like, because surely Hughes isn't playing with Dougie Hamilton, right? They're not playing them out there at the same time.
I
And
doubt it.
like if they're not doing that, like something tells me the coach isn't putting Dougie Hamilton on the second pair. Like you gotta be able to let this guy really, really go.
Gotta let him out of the
Back to back
cage.
40-point
You gotta
seasons
let him fly.
in his
He's got the
age
tools.
2021 season. Back to back 40 points as a defenseman. Like you gotta make the room. Dougie Hamilton, sorry, we're playing you down a bit in the lineup. Shut up, you're making $9 million a
Yeah,
year. Don't complain to me. But
yeah.
couple of good signings there.
We can move on from. Yeah, we can move on from New Jersey there. Who do you want to talk about next? We got a couple more
Uh, let's go Cam Fowler.
extensions
We
here.
already touched on him a bit when we were talking about Anaheim. But this is an extension with St. Louis Blues. Cam Fowler, 3 years at 6.1 mil AAV. I love this for Fowler. I love this for the Blues. I think this is a great deal.
Yeah,
It's a bit of
I'm
a
right there
risk.
with you. You know, it is, but at the same time, looking at what Cam Fowler did, since coming over to St. Louis and kind of their need for a guy like Cam Fowler, especially now that they lost Torrey Krugel of last season, and he, but from what it continues to sound like, is not coming back. Cam Fowler is exactly what they needed. He came in and was better than they could have ever even imagined when they made the move for him. And if St. Louis was on a path where they're still kind of retooling, you would have just probably held on to him and flipped him and got a haul back for him. But St. Louis is committed to winning right now, and this move shows
Yeah.
that to the rest of the team. Is we're done kind of being middle of the road. We are a great team. We have the pieces here. We still have pieces coming up that are going to be making an impact. So they're trying to win now, and Cam Fowler helps them tremendously. Just based on the short amount of time we got to see with him on the team last year. So it's good for Cam Fowler. It's good for the team, and it sends a great message to what it kind of still feels like a young locker room there for St. Louis. They do have some veterans, but it feels like a young team, and it sends a really good message to them going into this season. So I think it's a great way to start the season off for the Blues, and good for Cam Fowler too.
Yeah. And if nothing else, if you do want to move it on year 2 or 3 of the deal, like very movable contract, especially if
Very.
you retain on it, like, and given what he did in the playoffs, like I'm sure there are plenty of teams that would take him. Like it's it's insane how much a change of scenery can help these guys. Whenever there's a
Yeah.
player on a player that I think is good on a bad team and other people are like, "Ah, this guy's washed." I'm so quick to be like, "You don't know what it's like for these guys on these bad teams trying to deal with it." He had 0 goals and 4 points in total in 17 games with the Ducks. Only 17 because he was scratched at times, so he wasn't doing great. Um, Goes to St. Louis, 51 games, 9 goals, 36 points as a defenseman. He was like, what is it? That's got to be close to a 60-point pace over a full season. Guess what? Even better in the playoffs. 7 games, 2 goals, 10 points. I'm pretty sure, I don't have it in front of me, but I believe I saw that even though he was eliminated in the first round with the Blues, he finished top 5 in all defensemen for points in the playoffs. And
It wouldn't surprise me.
10 points.
What
It's
was his
not easy
plus
to get
minus
that
in the
much.
regular season with St.
It
Louis?
it was -7 with the Ducks, plus 19 with the Blues.
Yeah, like it totally changed his career. Again to the point where he was getting healthy scratched in Anaheim, and he shouldn't have been. But maybe it's one of those things that maybe that's the route New Jersey needs to take. Maybe you got to take some of these veterans and You got to scratch them every now and then to let the young guys play, because that's a problem New Jersey's going to keep running through with. Anaheim wasn't that issue. They moved on from Cam Fowler, and St. Louis is getting all the reward out of it. So I don't have much more to say
what
on
did
it
they
other
get for a
than
second?
I love it.
Was it a
Yeah,
second?
it was a
Like,
second and a prospect I'd never heard of. So you
yeah,
do that all day if you're St. Louis.
yeah, easily. Cam Fowler, putting together a nice career here. Like, he's kind of on the up right now, despite being 33 years old, but over 1,000 games played, over 100 goals as a defenseman, 7 points away from 500 points. Do a lot of defensemen hit 500 points? Like, I haven't, I
No.
haven't heard it talked
Depends on how
about.
many games you play, I guess.
That's true. I've haven't heard it talked about a lot. Like, there's some players. I know Corey Perry's one that comes up constantly. Um, but I have heard a couple people talking. Is Cam Fowler a Hall of Famer? And like
No.
and like gut
Well,
reaction feels no, but
too
like
early to say, but probably not.
it's one of those cases where it feels shocking, but like you kind of have to say most likely not, right? Like it feels like it
For
should
me,
be a
it's
situation where you
right
go,
now,
no,
like
there's
it's
no.
no.
Yeah.
Because what hardware does he, have in his trophy case at the end of the day?
I believe he had, does he have a cup? Was
No.
there's no way he was there at that time.
No.
No, he does not.
So, if he ends up his career and he gets up to say maybe it's probably got to be 700 points and a cup with it, then it's still a very, very long shot. Like,
Yeah.
for me, it's just a no. Unfortunately, Hall of Very Good.
Yeah.
I think that's as far as it
It's
goes.
it's interesting with some of these guys because the further into the NHL history that we get, like it's more and more of these guys are getting in with, you know, some of these guys are getting added and they don't have any hardware. And it's, well, how many goals does he have? How many points does he have? How many games played? Like, guys like Pierre Turgeon, like I don't know if he has a cup, but I don't think he had like any individual hardware, but he had 1,300 points.
Yeah.
That's pretty hard to argue with. And there's always the number for forwards is 600. If you have 600 goals, you're in. And I don't hate that. I mean, that's a lot of goals.
Mhm.
But it's so much harder to gauge with defensemen. I was shocked the other day when I was seeing some people talk about it online, and you go to look at his stats, and the season by season stats, pretty much none of them jump out at you, right? Other than with the Blues per game stats there. But
Yeah,
it's
for me, it's a no.
if he
A
can
lot
keep
would have
up
to go
what,
right for Cam Fowler
yeah,
to get
it's
there.
it's definitely a long shot, and frankly, of the assumption that he continues last season with the Blues, what he did, because it is an extension as well, not a
Mhm,
signing. So he does have 4 years left with the Blues currently.
mhm.
So, I mean, if he does put up 55, 60 points for 3 of those 4 years, it's it help. I'm not saying he's a
Maybe.
lock at that point. Far from it. I don't think there's, short of a Norris, there's nothing he could do at this point to make him a lock. But
Mhm.
it's interesting that it's even a conversation, frankly.
Yeah,
But we can move
I'll
on to
leave
the
it on that.
next. We could move on to the next deal here. Toronto. Toronto extended Anthony Stolarz to a 4-year deal, 3.75 mil AAV, 3.75. That's a great deal. That's a that's a good goalie at less than 4 mil.
Yeah, that's well under what his value was in terms of what he contributed to the team last year. At times, kind of looked like he was just going to be the starting goalie. Um, and it's probably going to continue being him and Wool in a tandem. And yeah, for having Stolarz at under 4 mil for what you got out of him, uh, is great. It's only 4 years, so it's not one you're going to have to deal with super far down the line. It's a deal that you can easily move on from if you need to, or if you get an offer for him that just can't refuse. Like it's manageable to move.
Yeah.
I don't have a bad thing to say about this deal. It's great for Toronto, and honestly, good for Stolarz that he can just stay somewhere and uh, you know, beyond appreciated by Toronto and especially the fans, which is kind of hard to do. Um,
Yeah.
for a fan base that at times can treat their star players, their generational players like trash. For a guy like Stolarz who, you know, really only hear good things about him from Toronto fans is pretty hard to do for a player like that. That doesn't
Yeah.
happen very often in Toronto. So, uh, just nice deal for both sides and makes Toronto better when they got good goalies.
The only thing that I can find that has ever held Stolarz back, and I got to imagine it's this, is injuries. Obviously, but got hit by Sam Bennett in the playoffs. He was concussed. He was out for the playoffs. But I have to assume it was injury history holding him out of games because looking at his career stats, he's been fantastic. But
Yeah.
he's never playing a ton of games. Like, there's no way he's getting sent down to the AHL, pulled from game. Like, there's no way they're pulling him with numbers like these. So I'm assuming it has to be health. Like his rookie year, 7 games, a 928, uh, 902 in 12 games, 6 games, 1 games, a 944 in that one, 8 games, a 926, 28 games, a 917. Uh, 3 years ago now on the Ducks, 899. That's not great. And then the last 2 years, 925, 926 in 27, 34
Yeah.
games.
He is
He had the best save
a
percentage in the league last year. He had a better save percentage than Hellebuck.
yeah, like he is a good goalie, and I think that's kind of the thing is he's never really gotten the chance to kind of run with it as a starting goalie. He's always been a backup or in a tandem, and yeah, is it fully injuries? Like I think injuries kind of do play a little bit of a part in it. Um, but I would love to see Stolarz potentially get an opportunity here where he can play 45 to 50 games and see if those numbers continue, or is it one of those ones where because like what was the most games you said, like 30?
30 last year was his most games in a season at 34. And then he had
34, so like
a 28 and a 27 season in there as well.
yeah, so it's like can he do it if he plays 45 to 50 games? Can he continue those numbers? Like there's a very good chance, yeah, and I'd like to see him get the opportunity to. We've just never been able to do that, so maybe that's
Yeah.
why. Yeah, it's just that he's never really gotten to run with it anywhere, and
Eh, Those
potentially could with
numbers
Toronto this year because if he's the hot goalie, they're gonna run with him because
and Wool
the
is
Atlantic's
currently in
gonna
the
be a battle.
Wool has taken a leave of absence as well from the team. So
Oh, actually, yeah, that is true. So that, yeah,
they've got a little bit of extra
something to keep an
room
eye
for
on.
him to go. And like those last 2 years in specific, like 27 and 34 games, 925, 926. If you bump the games played up to 45 or 50, even if a 926 drops to a 920, hell, a 915 is borderline elite right now in the league with the average
Yeah,
save percentage being like 900. If you can get 45 to 50 games of 915, you are still so happy with that, especially for this
yeah,
number that his contract is on. So I would
absolutely.
love to see them. As much as I like Joseph Wool, uh, he hasn't had numbers like these.
Yeah, yeah. If you got the opportunity to run with Stolarz, absolutely, I think you do it. Um, Anything you want to add on Stolarz before we move on to the second last extension here?
No, I think that's about covered it. We can talk
Perfect.
about
Just gonna throw this in here. Yeah. So the last one, this one there isn't as much to talk about. It's pretty simple, because it just makes all the sense the way things have been going. The Florida Panthers extend defenseman Nico Mikkola to an 8-year, $5 million AAV deal. I mean,
yeah.
this is probably the one actually that I think fans shouldn't be as upset about. It's not like a huge discount like they got with Ekblad or potentially even Marchand. Like this is a fair deal for both sides.
Yeah.
If it was a 4-year deal, then it's probably more like around 7-ish mil, 6.5, somewhere in there for Mikkola. But it is an 8-year deal. It's 5 mil. He is kind of strictly just a big bodied defensive defenseman.
Yeah.
He works well with pretty much whoever you pair him with, because that's the beauty of defensive defensemen. They just do their job, so it's easy to put anyone with them. Whether they're more offensively inclined, defensively declined, like you do got to work out the chemistry for sure with guys, but players like Mikkola are the easiest. You can take basically any defenseman and say, go play with him, and he will make everything so much easier for you out there.
Yeah.
So I think this is a fair deal for Florida. I think it's a fair deal for Mikkola, and Florida just continues to keep the band together.
Yeah. Yeah. They have no trouble keeping their guys around, and at least Bobrovsky's starting to age out. So I am very happy that despite them also being an interdivision rival, I'm very happy that Stolarz is extending with Toronto and not with Florida right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So at least I can be happy about that as a Lightning fan. And we have one more extension to talk about here. And this is the big one.
Yeah, this is the
Frankly, no way you're listening to this podcast and somehow haven't heard about this already. It's been almost a week. Uh, Minnesota Wild extend Kirill Kaprizov to a record-breaking 8-year, $17 million per season deal. If he had never played in the league before and never played again after this deal, only the money on this deal, he would be $250,000 shy of being a top 5 player all time for income in the NHL. This deal is massive.
It's a massive deal.
This deal alone is $250,000 less than Kopitar has made in his entire career. And Kopitar is number 5 in all-time grossing hockey player. So,
yeah,
that's a lot of freaking money.
it's a lot of money. And I mean, yeah, what we talked about before, we knew he got the offer of 8 years, 16 per year. He said no. And when it came to that, it was either one of two things. He either wants a bridge deal or he wants to get paid, and 16 wasn't enough for him. We now know that it wasn't about a bridge deal or a 4-year deal or something. He wanted to get paid, and boy, did he ever. 17 mil, as of right now, that is $3 million more than what the highest contract in the league currently was, which is Draisaitl. And again, this doesn't kick in.
Draisaitl, who just won the Rocket.
So there is a chance by the time this deal kicks in for Kaprizov, someone might be making more than him, because McDavid's still out there, needs an extension. What's with Jack Eichel? The initial reports were about 14 to 15 mil. With this, who knows what the case is there. But Kaprizov wanted to get paid, and he did. It's so tough because we have never seen anything like this where a player signs, and now Kaprizov will be making $10 million more than the second highest paid forward on the Wild.
Yeah,
which is like, and not team, because Brock Faber is 8.5, I believe.
I think that's right,
somewhere in there.
But,
like $10 million
more than any other forward is still crazy.
Like, and I mean, it is tough because we did mention it before how much of a bargain they got on Matt Boldy, because they signed him to that $7 million deal before he was the player that he has become, and he has turned into this stud, and that contract.
That's one of those bets that really pays off for
$10 million more than your next highest paid player. I will
never
wild. No, it is wild there. And just to make the record clear, I will never blame a player for wanting to get paid and get the bag.
No,
like, it's not a, it's just crazy that this is something that we're starting to see now. Is the main thing I'm getting at.
Yeah, I will never blame a player for going out and getting the money. One thing I will blame a player for, though, is lying about it. Kirill Kaprizov, all throughout these contract negotiations, anytime he talked to the media, which wasn't a lot, but whenever he did, he always mentioned number one priority is winning. No, it's not. You would have matched Dreisaitl's contract. That's at, oh no, 14 million a year for 8 years. Like, I have no problem with you going and getting your money. Don't don't lie and say money's not a huge factor, right? Just say I'm worth a fuck ton of money. I am goddamn Kirill Kaprizov. The franchise has 5 40-goal seasons in history, and I'm 3 of them, and I'm 28 years old, and I want my money.
Yeah.
And that's fair. But to
You know,
be like, winning is my number one priority, I think there's a better than 50% chance McDavid is going to sign for less than you this year. Because guess what? When McDavid says number one priority is winning, I believe him. It is written on his face.
Because it's one of those things of, when, like we've seen the last however many years, when you watch Toronto lose in the playoffs, and honestly, at this point now, even Edmonton, because the main guys you see afterwards and after they lose is all of the, the big guys, like the core four in Toronto, and then Edmonton, it's kind of, Nurse, McDavid, Draisaitl, they're obviously upset and whatnot, and I'm just sitting there like, fuck, take less money. Like, again, I never blame the players for getting paid, but at the end of the day, when you're making these insane amounts of money to the point where your depth is kind of ass, or one guy gets injured and your team's completely derailed, like what happened with Edmonton. It's you feel bad for the players, but at the same time, it is kind of tough because it's like,
that's how the roster was constructed.
You wanted to get paid, you're getting paid, but at the end of the day, you got to carry the team. You got to be the one to get the job done. You can't rely on, you look at Florida, freaking 15 plus points from everyone on their third line. They're all plus 5 million in the playoffs because guys take discounts because winning matters to them. You look at Tampa, and again, tax free, obviously, that plays a role, but to an extent, when you look at Tampa, even guys taking discounts, and it allows them to continue to build a better team around them. And then it allows them, they can bring in more players and keep them around because they have extra money to spend. Minnesota, essentially, you can look at it two ways. You can look at it, he took all this, but you could also look at, he just took the money that opened up from the Suter and Parise. And if you look at it that way, it's not as bad. And when you look at, the players that they were poised to get in free agency, kind of, the two Brock Nelson, Brock Besser, bring them home. That didn't happen. You did have the money to spend. You couldn't really afford to lose Kaprizov.
Yeah.
So you kind of just had to give him the deal.
Yeah.
It's going to take him to his late 30s, which, isn't great. Hoping that Kaprizov can still be 100+ point guy when he's 35 or so, because at that point, I think he'll still have like 2 or 3 years left on the deal.
At the same time, the cap is what, 104 mil, just over 100 million, if I'm not mistaken. It's supposed to go up anywhere from 5 to 8 mil per season.
Yes, but that
for the next multiple. So
just because the cap's going up doesn't give you the green light to just give out stupid amounts of money and say, who cares, the cap is going up.
No, but Kaprizov doesn't have to be a 100-point player to be worth his contract at that point. In 6 years, say it goes up, say we'll go on the low end of it. That's 6 years of 5 mil a season increase. Now the cap is what? Is that 30 mil? So that's 134 mil is the cap. Well, what percentage is 17 mil? Second liners might be making 17 mil at that point. Who knows? Like, some of these long-term deals, even ones at crazy high numbers, like for what we've seen in the last decade plus, they those numbers might start changing really rapidly. Like, those deals like, the Brandon Hagel deal, those are only going to look so much better over the long term. Like, I feel like right
Again,
now in the
it
NHL, to make a
still
long-term
holds true
contract
though.
look bad, you have to make a really bad bet on a player.
But that's the thing, right? You look at, the worst offseason in NHL history for a lot of teams. I want to say it was the 2016
I would say it was
offseason.
2016 or
That was the one
17.
where Kyle Poso got the bag, Andrew Ladd got the bag, Louis Eriksson, Milan Lucic, and people are like, "Oh, it's fine because the cap's going up, and these contracts are just like better and better." All those guys kind of just fell off a cliff, and they became, at the time they were all in the top 10 worst contracts in the league, all signed on the same day, because GMs were sitting there like, well, the cap's going up, we got the money, we can bloat and spend it. And that's when teams run into having a bunch of bad contracts down the line. So
I do think a lot of that,
and I think it's going to happen to quite a few teams.
I do think a lot of that was made worse because of COVID, because that shut down the league.
Oh, they were shit before COVID. Even the contracts, they were ass already by then.
Oh, for sure, those ones, yeah. But like, that was compounded. They were made that much worse because instead of the cap going up bit by bit, or however much was at the time, I don't know, but all of a sudden it stopped. It completely stopped for 3 years straight, and that really put the screws on a lot of contracts and a lot of teams. So,
but
that is also assuming that it's not going to happen, going forward. Who knows? The States is crazy right now. That who knows? Something might happen tomorrow, and all of a sudden the cap's not going up anymore.
Yeah, it still holds true to my point though. Just because you have money to spend doesn't mean you need to. Like, just because you're sitting there with a big check right now doesn't mean, oh, I need to spend it right now. Like, you still gotta.
But
and in Minnesota's case, unfortunately, it was and that's the thing. Like with Minnesota, it is tough because you lose Kaprizov. Well, you're cooked then. Like you're done, right? Like you need him. It's the same way Toronto, like Kaprizov is in that level of, you need him, like a Nathan McKinnon, like a McDavid. Like he is that good, and you can't afford to lose him, which is the tough part for Minnesota. So you did have to pay him, and now you hope that, like I predicted, you can get a Hart Trophy potentially out of him, a Rocket, a Art Ross, like starting to.
That's the expectation at that money.
Yeah, and when you get to the playoffs now, you want to be like, okay, he played 75 games, and he is healthy going into the playoffs. Because, again, he will be, maybe not this year, but at least by next year, because he is making $17 million. There is expectations now that are set that, like, is the minimum. Like, yeah, we know the cap is going up, but by next season, if he is still the highest paid player, minimum, you need 100 points out of him. Minimum, you need like 70 games out of him.
Yeah,
actually, probably even more. And you know what? Like 75, because he is making 17.
I was gonna say, frankly, 110 points or more. And guess what?
Yeah,
I don't care about games played. Oh, but he played at this point per game pace. Sick. That doesn't do anything for me for a lot of those games. If you're gonna get injured for 30 games of the year, then in 52 games, you better be able to score 110 points. That's what you're paid for. Like,
so like there is high expectations that need to be set now, and
they make the playoffs. Point per game is not enough. You are above point per game, or you're gonna fucking hear about it. Like,
yeah, and it's all fair, Like, I hate the people that
that's what the money's for.
People, but I dislike the people that always say, well, you can't blame the player, like they're humans too. It's like criticism is everywhere in the world, and if you're making $17 million, do your job. You have expectations that are to be met. It's the same as anything in the real world,
and it comes with the things that you don't have to say. It's always implied that I can say Mitch Marner fucking blows chunks in the playoffs. He sucked. That does not mean go dump garbage on his lawn. That's what psychopaths do.
And the crazy thing is Marner was never okay. was Marner great in the playoffs? No, he was still pretty decent, but it's because of how much money he was making.
Exactly.
If Marner did what he did in the playoffs, but he was only making $6 million, no one would say shit.
If it was making $9 million, it would still be palatable.
Yeah, but it's again, it comes down to how much is the player making, because your expectations is tied to what you're taking. If Kaprizov's taking 17 mil, his expectations is a lot higher than what is he making right now? Like 9, just under 10?
9 even.
9 even.
9 million.
So, you know, his expectations just grew by $8 million. That's the way the sports world works. That's the way it's always worked. It's the way it's going to continue to work. But good on Minnesota for actually finding a way to keep Kaprizov. Because I was starting to get a bit worried when I heard the tampering rumors and this, that like, could he just hold out and just walk for nothing? And then at that point, Minnesota's like, just fold the franchise at that point.
They would have to get a haul back in a trade for him.
Yeah, like, to have a top 10 player in the league, and he's now your guy and probably going to be a member of the Minnesota Wild for his entire career, potentially. Pretty damn good for Minnesota. Like, that's a long way they've come in the last little bit.
Yeah. Like, just to go back to the whole, it depends on your percentage of the cap thing. That's why I hate when people are blaming Stuart Skinner in the playoffs. Okay, what did you expect? You're paying a goalie, what is it? 2.3, 3 point something mil? Like, in the playoffs? Like, yeah, he's not going to play like a starter. So, maybe if,
that's actually a really good point.
That's when you blame the GM. That's when you go, hey, GM, why don't we have a goalie to play in the playoffs? Yep. Stuart Skinner is making 2.6 mil.
And honestly, he still plays above that.
Yeah, you got a bargain on that, frankly. I don't doubt he's going to leave after the season, go somewhere else, and lot less stress, probably more money for him. Like,
it's like people blame Stuart Skinner, who's again like a $2 million goalie, for letting a goal in, and then they choose to ignore the two $9 million defensemen who were both standing upright watching the guy come in on a breakaway because they didn't want to back check or couldn't catch up. It's like, why are you blaming the guy making $2 million? Why are you not blaming the two guys who, as a defensive pair, I think are the highest paid defensive pair in the league? I know they don't, Bouchard and Nurse don't necessarily play together, but just taking the two highest paid defensemen from every team, they make the most.
19,750,000. So to beat them out in price, you'd have to find a team with essentially two $10 million defensemen. I don't know if any team's ever had that.
There. Columbus almost got there with Werenski and Provorov. Almost got there.
Oh, you know what?
And that would be pretty rough.
And you know what? That's not a very far off comparison. Werenski, Bouchard, Nurse, Provorov. That's it's kind of close. Staying on the topic of goaltending in Edmonton, Edmonton acquired Connor Ingram from the Utah Mammoth in exchange for future considerations, and Utah is retaining $800K of Connor Ingram's $1.95 million salary. So
I actually do have the highest paid D-man duos, the top 8, if you want to hear them.
Absolutely, hit me with them.
This is from Mike Bartner. Talked about him before. Everyone should go follow him on Instagram because he does a lot of good hockey stuff. So number 1 is Bouchard and Nurse, and again, this isn't like defenseman pairings. It's just the two highest paid defensemen.
The two highest defensemen. Yeah.
Number 2 is Buffalo with Dahlin and Power, 19.35.
Oh, okay.
3 is
I'm taking
Columbus.
Dahlin Power over Bouchard Nurse every time.
All day. 3 is Columbus, Werenski and Provorov, 18.08. 4 is now New Jersey at 18 mil even between Luke Hughes and Dougie Hamilton, both making 9. 5 is Washington with John Carlson and Jacob Chychrun, 17.
Okay.
6 is the Rangers with Fox and Gavrikov. That's actually not bad. 16.5 for that duo. Pretty
60.
fucking
That's
good. You
solid.
thought that was good. Number 7, Colorado. Cale Makar and Devon Taves. 16.25.
That number is going to go up something crazy
And
sometime
number
soon.
8 should be a bit higher. I feel like, but Pittsburgh with Carlson and Letang, 16.1.
I was going to say, I feel like Pittsburgh's in there, but I wasn't sure how much
But theirs
Letang
is
or the
lowered a
second
bit
defenseman is.
because they would actually,
That's
I
with
think, they would
retention.
only, yeah, they would only actually move up into 5th, just above
I mean,
Washington 17. If
being
because
in fifth
Carlson's
would be pretty
1.5
rough.
is retained, so he's coming in at an even 10 for
But that's
Pittsburgh right now.
Carlson and Letang, who are both pretty over the hill at this point, especially
Yeah,
Letang. Like, so
yeah,
being on that list at all is kind of rough, you know. And all these teams that we were saying in the middle there, the Avalanche, that one looks really good. Luckily they got those great guys on great contracts, but a lot of the teams that over the past bit have been really good. Vegas, Dallas, the Panthers, the Lightning, none of them are on there.
yeah. So just want to throw that out there, but yeah, like you did mention, Edmonton, they did get Connor Ingram. We did talk about it before. Because he did get put on waivers and he did clear. He is currently in the, he's now in the AHL currently for Edmonton. It'll be interesting to see what they want to do here with Ingram.
Yeah, I mean he's had a great history in the league. It's just he's had some personal stuff that keeps him out. We talked about him recently on an episode about him taking a step back. I believe he's in the assistance program, or maybe he's just taking a leave of absence.
Well,
He
yeah.
was. Is he not? He's not doing that now.
No, he's fully back now. But he told Utah, he said,
okay.
Nothing against you guys or anything, but it's just
It's
best
a change of
for
scenery.
me to get a fresh start somewhere and have a clean slate. And that's obviously we know it's going to be Edmonton this year. Now Edmonton's got to figure out what they want to do because, again, in the NHL right now with the amount of injuries and rotating players, you don't really see teams carry 3 goalies.
Oh, so you
usually doesn't happen.
You send down Calvin Pickard, you bring up Ingram, and you see how that tandem runs.
But you got to put Pickard on waivers.
Easy, done. Easiest choice of my life. They're gambling with house money. They keep losing. They keep losing with these 2 goalies. They're not going to win you. They might win you some games. They won't win you the cup. So if Stuart Skinner gets claimed, if Calvin Pickard gets claimed, that they weren't going to win it for you anyway.
It's who cares? You basically got 3 goalies that, in my opinion, are all kind of in the same area, and
pretty close.
You just hope one gets hot and kind of takes the.
I do think Ingram's a little bit higher than these 2, though. I think at
the
very least,
talking about Ingram from like 2 years ago.
Sure.
That's where it's Ingram's still kind of a unknown right now. Was he a good goalie? Absolutely. Is he still that same goalie? It's tough to tell because goalies are so unpredictable.
They're very unpredictable.
And for all what it's worth, Ingram in Utah, I still think it was a better, or I guess even back to Arizona, still overall kind of a better defensive system than what Edmonton's running. Because Edmonton is just very run and gun offense and, Ekholm shut it down back there for us type of thing.
Yeah.
So, could Ingram go out there and be the starter and put up great numbers? Absolutely. It's just we have no idea. More than anything, it's just
the change of scenery will be good for him.
Why didn't they just throw out a similar offer to what Detroit did to Anaheim and get John Gibson?
I guess
it's just typical.
It's got to be the cat there, right?
It's grabbing goalies and being like, oh, hopefully this is the one that works. This is the one in.
Yeah.
I mean, they even tried with Jack Campbell, which Oilers fans thought was they finally had their guy.
Yeah.
Nothing has worked and nothing has sticked. It's just kind of a continuous carousel. And they've tried to just force Stuart Skinner to be like, You're the guy. We're going to make it work.
Yeah,
And it almost did, actually, to be fair, but
they got
it didn't.
close. They
So
5 years ago they went, "Oh man, we have this circular hole," and they found Jack Campbell, and he was a triangle, and they pushed and they pushed, and it's not gonna work. Okay, maybe I'll try the square. Oh fuck that. Okay, well maybe the star. Why aren't any of these fitting? I don't know. Go pay the money to get the circle, and it'll fit. Like they they've got a bunch of guys. Like, what would you say the best goalie they've had over the past 5 years is? Like, is it Skinner or is it at times Campbell? Because like either
Cam
way, I'd
Talbot,
say Talbot was good. Talbot was good for him when he could play.
Mike
Like,
Smith was, you know, hit or
had
miss,
flashes.
sometimes decent. Yeah.
Like, I feel like the best they've had, the way I would describe whoever you want to call it, is a fringe starter. You know, I feel like
Yeah.
they not even elite. Like, they haven't even had a bona fide NHL starting goalie.
Yeah.
Really,
Goalies, it should be in tandems. But by the
exactly.
time you get to the
A lot of
playoffs,
1As and 1Bs.
you can't really run a tandem in the playoffs. Like you could, but it doesn't work.
If you want to
You
do
need a
it, you better
goalie to
have
get
a
hot and to
yeah.
get dialed in, and that's tough when you're in and out of the lineup and playing every like what'd that be like every 3-4 days. Like you need a goalie to just get hot, get dialed in, and
Yeah.
you know
Like, the only way you can
I
run a
don't know.
tandem in the
Yeah,
playoffs is if you have 2 guys that not only shouldn't be in a tandem, but they're, like, elite, like, Swayman, Ullmark. Okay, you
yeah,
can run that tandem, but
yeah,
not for long before you have to pay them a lot of money.
yeah. That's the thing. You maybe get 1 or 2 years where you could do it, and then by then you got to move on for one because both want to get paid absolutely. But overall, I am glad for Connor Ingram to get a fresh start. I think there's, the opportunity is definitely there in Edmonton. I'm curious to see how Edmonton goes about it. If Ingram can, grab that starting job or potentially even backup job, and um, what the road looks like for him, I think you know, I think there's a lot of opportunity for him, and I think
Yeah.
that's exactly what he needs right now.
Yeah, we'll have to see how he performs there. I think it's safe to say that, I guess maybe not Flames fans, but most people are rooting for him in Edmonton.
Absolutely, yeah.
I
Everybody
I'm
should be rooting for him.
I'm curious to see what Utah gets from Edmonton at some point down the road. A lot of people think future considerations is
Yeah.
for free, but like generally, it's a bit of a general manager's IOU, and Utah put this guy on waivers. He could have just gone straight to Edmonton, but Edmonton was like, "Hey, for whatever reason in our system, we want to see what he can do in the AHL first before bringing him up." So we're going to let him clear, and then you trade him to us. Also, you guys are going to retain on his salary. Like
Yeah,
Utah
and that's
did a
also a good
solid.
look for Utah as well, doing right by the player, and that goes a long way.
Good by the
When
player,
teams are
good
looking
business.
at, when players are free agents and they're looking at teams, if you're a player that just wants to get treated right and whatnot, and you've got three offers: the Rangers, Vegas, and Utah. Well, you look at the way the Rangers kind of treat their players, the way that Vegas does after a certain amount of time, whereas Utah always seems to be doing right by their guys and doing the best for their players. It very quickly could become a destination that players want to go to because of how you're going to be treated there
Yeah.
and looked after. And I think that, and honestly, people will shit on them all they want. It's the reason the Islanders became a popular destination for a little bit, because Lou Lamoriello, aside from all the weird things he does, he always looked after his players and took care of them, and that
Yeah.
went a long way with the players. I'm sure they're obviously very happy that they can grow their hair back, yeah, grow some pubes, wear some higher jersey numbers and whatnot.
Dude,
But
I hate when coach goes around for
treating the
penis
players right,
inspection. That shit's so annoying.
yeah. But
Like, I
treating the
swear,
players right,
don't look, I
it's
shaved
huge.
it, dude.
And so there's
Dude,
always inspections going on.
dude, Rip Duclair went there and he shaved for the GM, and then they immediately fired the GM. He
No,
like
he went there for the coach.
Yeah, he went there
The
for the
Islanders.
No, yeah, he went there
Yeah.
for the coach, but like because he had like fairly long hair.
Well,
And then
he had the long hair, he had the beard.
he had to cut the hair off because the GM said cut your hair, and then they fired the GM who told him to cut his hair.
Yeah. He after a full year, but he's grown
It
the hair
was
out. He's got the beard back. Yeah, that's if coaches and GMs take care of their players and whatnot, players will naturally want to
word
go
gets
there
around.
because they want to be treated like people, not just objects.
And you know what? At the very least, it keeps you from being looked at as bad at business. You know who has a hard time attracting some free agents? A team like Anaheim. They,
Yeah.
sure, they're in America, it's a higher tax state, but it isn't as bad as Canada. But also, notoriously, their general manager plays freaking hardball with guys, and he lets you have it. And he is not super easy to work with. And I believe he was one of the top, if not the top answer in most difficult GM to work with in the agent poll that we covered earlier this year. So,
I think so, yeah.
you don't want to get a reputation like that where it's hard to
Imagine
deal
being
with.
that close to Disneyland and players still don't want to go play for you.
Yeah, right.
Crazy. But we should keep moving on here for time's sake here. We do
Yeah.
got some coaching news. Finally, we got some coaching news. Braden, do you want to hit us with? Take your pick. We got three. We could start wherever between them.
Well, I mean, we were just talking about Edmonton. We might as well. Edmonton had re-signed head coach Chris Knobloch. They gave him a 3-year extension, keeping him around for 3 more seasons. I do wonder if this is is this something McDavid wants? Is this, not saying he was like on the chopping block or anything, but did they extend him because the team wanted him, or did they extend him because McDavid wants him to stick around and they end up wanting to, appease McDavid, obviously. So maybe that's something to do with it. Either way, I think Knobloch's done a pretty good job there.
Yeah, I mean, whether you make the argument of did the Oilers just kind of do it, or was it a McDavid thing? At the end of the day, Knobloch's been there for a season and a half. He's gone to 2 straight Cup finals.
Yep.
Whether that's because of you've got McDavid and Draisaitl, who kind of, for the most part, I'm not going to say the entire part because Stuart Skinner actually kind of carried him through a couple of games.
He had quite a few shutouts.
You got to 2 Cup finals. You got to Game 7 one year, and then Game 6 the following year, team kind of ran out of gas. Yeah, you got to hold on to a coach. It would make no sense to move on from him. He's gotten the team the furthest that they've gotten with McDavid and Draisaitl, right? Like,
yeah,
prior to,
he doesn't look like he gets out coached an insane amount either. Like whenever they were losing to Florida,
not really.
It often felt like just Florida being opportunistic, a bad play by a defenseman on Edmonton or something. Like it never felt like it was a scheme thing. It never felt like it was a coaching error, right? So
because you knew Florida's game plan. Florida was the deeper team, so when bottom lines are matched up, Florida's always going to win that matchup. And Florida's game plan is just when McDavid's out there, Barkov's line is out there. Everybody with eyeballs and a brain knows that, right? Like prior to Chris Knobloch coming in,
wouldn't be this year.
The furthest Edmonton made it was, the Western Conference Finals, and they got swept. So the most wins they had in a playoff run was 8. They just went 15 and then 14 in the 2 years with Knobloch. So, I mean, yeah, whatever it is, whatever the combination is or why it's going the way it is, the results are there, and that's more than enough reason to keep him around. And I'm sure, obviously, that definitely doesn't make McDavid happy because this was kind of his pick for, who's going to be the coach, right? Like,
yeah,
we never know. I don't think we ever got confirmation on it, but like everybody knows that McDavid helped was the sole reason in making this happen. So I like it for Edmonton. I like it for Knobloch. Nice 3-year extension. Maybe they're gonna try and run it back, and maybe they won't even face Florida in the Cup final now with some of the with an injury that we're gonna talk about. Like it's
so even if they do, who are you matching up against McDavid now? Remains to be seen, right? Who
Yeah.
knows? Sam Reinhart, can he shut down that hard? Lundell? I mean, both great players. McDavid's McDavid. We got two other head coach extensions here. Staying in Alberta, we got Calgary extending head coach Ryan Huska for 2 more years. I love this. I think he's been really good for Calgary.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think there's been a lot of, kind of unfair criticism put on because, again, a coach can only do so much.
Yeah.
And with, where Calgary's at with the talent, they are kind of going through a retool. I think he's handled it perfectly. So yeah,
Yeah, there's not really much to say.
I think he's
He's done a good
an
job of
underrated head coach still
yeah,
because
for sure.
look at kind of what he has there.
I mean, they almost made the playoffs last year. They had some of the most points a team has ever had while missing the playoffs.
Yeah.
And a lot of people had him pegged for a bottom 3 spot in the entire league. So,
Yeah.
sure, Dustin Wolf did a lot of stuff, but, that doesn't happen without the defense being in the right spot. That goalie in general being deployed by the coach at the right time. So,
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? And then the last one for the coaching is I'll let you talk about this one. I'll let you
yeah,
throw this one out here with the very little news we have about it, but hey, it's still something.
I was gonna say it. I guess according to you, it came out kind of quietly this morning because I didn't hear about this. I didn't really look up too much stuff this morning online. So there's a couple things on here that you put in. I was shocked by. The Tampa Bay Lightning quietly extend head coach John Cooper at some point over the past several months. They do not have terms on the extension. We don't know when it happened, but we have learned at this point that at some point they got to deal with him. And obviously we don't have really any terms on it, but either way, I'm excited for it. In my mind, still the best head coach in the league. If not, he's got to be top 3. And he just always gets the most out of the guys. They will run through a brick wall for him. He's going to be the head coach for Team Canada at the Olympics. And yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you want to extend a guy like that? And I did say a couple of. Are you on mute? Are you on
Yeah.
mute, my sir?
Sorry, because I was just looking through to see if I could find if there's any more news on it.
If it's come
nothing.
out, yeah,
Yeah.
and
They'll announce it when they're ready.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things that they just, I guess, if it happened several months ago, I guess they just don't care to announce it. Unless he's winning, Coop doesn't really love the spotlight, so he'll.
And I don't even hate. I know. Obviously, fans and people who are online and people like us who kind of talk about news and whatnot kind of hate it when this stuff happens, but teams that do this are kind of smart when they conduct business this way, and they kind of just do it quietly, and they don't have to announce anything immediately. Look at what going
really
back to my favorite guy, Lou Lamoriello. All the stuff he did with the Islanders, he would make all of these verbal agreements and basically have everything planned out without the official signing. And then he'd be like, all right, it's done. Don't worry about it. We're just not going to announce it yet because it's going to throw other teams off. Because teams are kind of game planning, like imagine if Edmonton, they had Connor McDavid already signed to an extension, everything. It's not officially signed, so they're not obligated to submit it and announce it. But they're like, let's just wait till the day before free agency, and then we'll announce it. Because then teams are going to kind of be like, oh, McDavid's going to free agency. Let's start opening up money.
A lot of teams would leave cap open.
And then boom,
a lot of teams would leave cap open.
Yeah, and then you fuck over some teams, right? I heard there was a very good chance that, Utah was, because they've got some guys in the organization that are close to John Cooper, and that's why I was kind of keeping on Utah. Of like, shit, are they gonna like make
Are
some
they
moves
going to
and
make a
whatnot
run
and
at it?
open up the room for John Cooper? But now it's like, oh shit, he's been signed for allegedly the past several months to an extension.
Yeah.
And the news is just coming out, right? So it can throw teams off. It can kind of force them to do stuff and then be like, oh shit, well now we're
I think
fucked.
there's a
I think
certain
it's smart.
way. I think there's a certain way to do it. And I do like the way you laid it out. If you have between the team and the player a handshake agreement that this is going to happen, then yeah, no reason to announce it. Nothing's been signed. If you sign a player and just there's no announcement, that definitely feels I'll say
Yeah,
shady, I guess, just because it is a cap league. Like people want to keep up on that. Teams need to know that stuff. Sure. Head coaches, they are not part of the cap. As far
yeah,
as I'm concerned, no team is ever obligated, even once the deal is signed, to tell you because that's not. You don't have to keep up with the cap situation there.
yeah,
Obviously, if the team you know wants to highlight, hey, we're bringing Ryan Huska back, get excited. Like, there's nothing wrong with it, but I don't think
yeah.
they're obligated to do that.
No, absolutely, exactly, right? So I'm all for it. I know it pisses people off, but it's smart.
Yeah,
It's fun.
and
Why
I
not,
said,
right?
I
Like a little
said a
drama.
couple months ago, I was, I think I told you about it because I made a statement online saying that if we end up not having John Cooper as our head coach by when the cup is handed out next year, I will eat a pair of socks. Um, this bodes well for me not eating socks.
Yeah,
so
no, yeah, you don't have to eat any socks now.
so yeah, this is huge for me.
Um,
Good
and then
God,
to
look at all
wrap it
this
out here,
news.
we just got some random tidbits and news from around the league. We got a couple things here. Um, which one do you want to start with here? Do you want to start with the big one, the Florida one? I
Sure.
haven't really talked about this much.
Yeah, we alluded to it a bit ago, talk about Edmonton, but the Florida captain, Alexander Barkov, is out for an estimated 7 to 9 months after an ACL tear in practice. He, non contact, I mean, he was deking in front of a guy and kind of fell down, and the guy kind of almost guided him to the ground. The guy seemed to pretty quickly know something was wrong,
Yeah,
but literally was just kind of skating into the zone a drill, possessing the puck, and his just knee just kind of exploded. Like this is the
yeah,
kind of stuff people are talking about when they say why it's so hard to three-peat, why it's hard to go back to back, why it's hard to play so many extra games in the postseason, harder games, much harder than regular season as well. Like just all those extra miles,
yeah,
just a random drill where you're skating with the puck, entering the zone, all of a sudden your legs just like we've been pushed too far. Like
yeah,
that's why it's so
yeah.
difficult. And
All the miles on their body, they add up, and with how short in the off season seems to be, like from the time the Stanley
yeah,
Cup's awarded now, it's like near the end of June, whereas it used to be like beginning of June, right? So there's a whole month less time off you kind of get in the off season. And again, yeah, 3 straight trip to the Cup Finals. You add the intensity of the Four Nations in there and whatnot. Obviously,
yeah,
it's a huge blow to Finland, and in the Olympics now, not going to be having Barkov,
yeah,
who was going to be their best player, their first line center, their captain, and whatnot. They're going to have to pivot from that. Florida, figuring out how to run with Barkov, looking like he's probably out for the entire season. Maybe can come back at some point in the playoffs, but
I believe not.
even
I I don't know if you've seen it, but I do believe I'd have to double check on who put it out there. I want to say it was Friedman. Um, but the way it's supposed to work, I don't know when the deadline is if it's regular season, but basically Florida has to say whether or not Barkov is healthy or not. And we know he's not healthy right now, but they either go Barkov can play this year at some point this year, and they get 3.6 or 3.8, whatever the number is, million of LTIR relief. The rest of Barkov's $10 million contract is on the books, and he's allowed to come back when he's ready. If they opt to say he's not healthy, they get the full 10 million of cap relief, 100%. But Barkov, no matter what, he cannot play.
He can't return.
Regular season or playoffs, completely out. But they get his
so
full
that's a decision
contract.
that Florida will have to make.
Yeah.
Um,
You have to assume they're going to take the 10 mil, right?
It makes sense. It makes the most sense too. Looking at 7 to 9 months, he's probably, and even if he is able to return, probably third round of the playoffs, potentially even Stanley Cup final. Do you want him coming off this ACL injury and immediately throwing him into that where it's going to be rough, it's going to be physical, he's going to be targeted? Like that's as shitty as it sounds to say, that's the way that it's going to be. Like he's going to get targeted if he comes back in the playoffs.
100%.
Like his knee will be targeted.
Well, and even if it's not in an injury attempt, what do you bring him back for? To stop a guy like McDavid? You think McDavid can't go around Barkov on 1.5 legs? Like Barkov's Barkov.
The only side of it that makes me think they might not is, okay, cool. Yeah, you have that 11 million open up or whatever. Okay, now what though? Florida really has dick all in terms of thing, like you mentioned the other day that you had that fantasy that that Kadri got traded there. Okay, so the only thing of value that Florida really has in terms of bargaining chips is a Samoskevich. But
and then a first rounder 3 years away.
Do you give up Samoskevich? And on the flip side, Barkov's going to be back next year. So Florida's making the move for a player and using up that money. It's got to be an expiring deal. You can't bring in a guy making 8 mil because that doesn't fit in with the timeline and the pay structure of the team next season.
Well, so if they made that move, then next season, what changes on their books? Plus 10 million for Barkov coming back. Minus 10 million, Bobrovsky is off the books. You would still have to make moves, obviously. One would assume they're going to re-sign Bobrovsky, probably for less money. Who knows what that deal comes in at?
Yeah.
And then plus whoever they bring in's contract. Kadri's making 7 mil or whoever they would try and bring in. But
I guess, when you put it that way.
Some of these teams are really freaking savvy at money, dude. I don't know. I can't see it right here, but I'm thinking there's somebody smarter than me that could probably figure out a way to make it work.
But again, though, seems. What do you get for a Samoskevich? Because again, that's really like the only bargaining chip you have for a trade. They don't have a bunch of draft picks. They've already traded away a bunch. So they don't really have any prospects coming up. Like they are running it with the same group. Like they were bringing back almost the exact same group because it is working. So that's kind of my thing with it. Is like if you get a really good player to open up the money, but
like a
Rodriguez,
Samoskevich, and a Washington second. It'll be interesting to see what they do because they are not a team that's going to sit on their hands, right? And
they're always
and all these guys are locked in for so long that their window is not the next 2 years, right? So I get it. As a Lightning fan, especially, I can get it. You want a three-peat, but rushing Barkov back to try and do that puts your franchise in way more jeopardy than I feel like you need to.
Like if it was something of Barkov,
if they miss the playoffs this year,
10 games or something left,
they're still a borderline favorite next season, right?
Yeah,
like absolutely. maybe not the first favorite, but are they outside the top 5 even if they miss the playoffs? Not really. Matthew Tkachuk's out. They have a lot of excuses. So.
I fully do expect them to open up the 10 mil, but I don't see where they open up and they're immediately like, okay, we're going to go out and get this guy and this guy. Like, look at last year, right? Barkov missed how many games to start the season? He was, maybe I can't remember the exact number, but Anton Lundell was their first line center, and he was a point per game guy. He was doing really well. So he's now another year older, a little bit more experienced, gotten a bit stronger. There's a chance he could come in and he could be a 82 and 82 guy on that first line, potentially even more because he's going to have good talent up there playing with him.
Last night he wasn't playing on the top line. They gave him first line minutes, but
yeah,
he was still playing with Marchand and Luosterainen, which I thought, because that line was so money in the playoffs, I thought it was interesting. Like because they were getting the first line minutes, but it was still that same line. So
yeah, so
kind of interesting.
maybe Sam Bennett's your guy. He's won a Conn Smythe. He's got
Yeah,
all the confidence in the world.
big extension. They clearly trust him.
I was
It's not a team without
talking
options.
about I was talking about Sam Bennett the other day with our dad because we were talking about Florida, and um it was interesting because he said that it looks like Bennett's entire career changed at the Four Nations once he fought Brady Tkachuk and held his own pretty well. And he was
Okay.
like, once Sam Bennett kind of realized that, oh shit, I can hang with Brady Tkachuk. I can hang with anyone in the league, and his confidence just hit that next level. I think that tying goal in the final game also helped. And he is, he already looked like a completely different player going to Florida, but after the Four Nations, completely like he just had so much confidence in himself, and he dominated his way through the playoffs, dominated his way through the back half of the regular season. Made himself look like he's going to be a lock to be on Team Canada for the Olympics now.
I'll
Maybe
be
he's your
interested
guy,
to see
and
if he
you
makes
you
it.
throw him on the first line. And
Just because the Olympics obviously much less physical, fighting is not allowed, so like there's that whole
yeah,
thing. And obviously you got, young guys, Celebrini, Bedard, etc., trying to make the team. Suzuki didn't even
mhm.
play last time, but yeah, it'd be hard to guess who's going to be on that roster.
That'll be a fun thing to keep an eye on throughout the season. But yeah, with Florida, interesting spot they're in. We'll see what they do, and yeah, they kind of got to make an announcement soon on whether they want to open up that full money or
Yeah,
if
I'm
they're
not sure
somehow
when
leaving
they
the door
have
open
to,
for a Barkov return.
but it's got to be before the regular season starts, you'd think, right?
I would think so. I don't know.
I
I don't know for sure on that. There's so many new stuff with the CBA.
Who tweeted out that that's how it worked? Oh, it was Puckpedia's official
Puckpedia.
uh, Twitter account. Hmm.
Puckpedia.
I'm very glad that they moved the CBA up for a lot of those rules a year, because
Yeah.
like they were like, this is a good rule, and then they're like, everyone's gonna try and break the rule before it comes into effect this year. Let's just move it up. Why not?
Yeah.
Hmm. I'm not seeing anything
But we
on a
can.
date.
Yeah. I don't
Must
know
be
for sure.
cap
I'm just
compliant by the
kind of
start of the
keeping an eye
season.
open
Okay,
for it.
so I'm assuming it's the first game of the regular season, which is Panthers Blackhawks.
Yeah. What a game that'll be.
That's going to be so good.
But we can move on from Florida and keep an eye
Yeah,
on
I'll let
that
you
down
talk
the
about this
road.
next one because
Well, not much to say on it. The San Jose Sharks are expected to maybe make an announcement on a new captain.
what do you think? What do you think it's going to be? What are they going with?
I don't fully know. I think they're probably just going because them and Boston are the only two teams without a captain right now. We know
Really?
Boston
Wow.
isn't announcing one. They're not giving it to Pasternak or McAvoy for this year.
Waiting for Higgins to come into his own.
Potentially, right? And I think San Jose's in the same boat. They're not going to name one. They said they're going to, they're going to make a announcement regarding it
Yeah.
because they didn't have to, because they did have Logan Couture still technically on the.
Yeah. Oh no. Whoa.
Oh, all right. We're still good. We're still live. We're still live.
Okay, we're good.
But so they didn't really have to because they just say, "Oh, Couture's our captain. He's not playing, but he's still our captain. He's still around." But Couture's officially retired, so the door is open there. And I think they're just going to run with some alternate captains.
Alternates.
I don't think they're, I think it's one of two things. They either run with the alternates, and that basically means, okay, so potentially by next year they'll give the seat to Celebrini, or they're going to give it to Toffoli right now, and that'll be kind of the guy. And then
That's
once
kind of what I was
Celebrini's
thinking.
ready, he'll get it. It's one of the two, but I'm imagining that they will just leave it as is, leave the vibes good, have some A's around to some of the veterans, and just basically do exactly what they've been doing the last couple years.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting because I could see it literally going any of those ways. Like I could see them just running with A's. I could very easily see them be like, Toffoli's been a beast for us. He's been so good in the locker room. He can have it for 1 or 2 years. We've seen guys as young as Celebrini get captaincy. I don't know if we've literally seen it, but we've seen
Well, we
19,
did.
20-year-olds.
Landeskog did.
Yeah.
Crosby.
They've been named captains
it
real
has
young.
happened.
So I wouldn't be insanely shocked if they were like Celebrini's captain already.
I wouldn't be shocked either.
Because I mean, it's kind of an open secret. It's going to happen at some point. Like we all know it's going to happen at some point, and it's probably going to happen sooner than later. He's not waiting until he's 23, 24. Like the team's not going to make him wait that long. So
there is a very good chance they could just be like, yeah, just give him the C right now. And
he was the best player on the team last year. Like it's not just giving it to a young guy with the promise he'll be good. He's already pretty damn good. So
in all ends of the ice too. Like he in that anonymous player poll, he's getting comparisons to Sidney Crosby, and Crosby got the C when he was young. So I don't think that's going to happen. But if they say Celebrini's the captain, wouldn't be shocked by it.
They come out and they're
terrific
like,
young player.
Will Smith is the glue of the locker room. Will Smith is our captain.
I also wouldn't hate if they just made two announcements and just said Mario Ferraro signed to a 7-year extension. Oh, and he's getting the C. Cool, because he's a fantastic leader on that team, and there's a reason that he's been in all these trade rumors, but has yet to be traded because he is beyond valuable to the team. Like, whatever they do, they know what they're doing. But overall, I think my prediction is they don't run with a captain this year, and that's something they have polished out for next year, similar to Boston.
Yeah, I think that's pretty likely. I'm going to say my prediction. I'm going to say they give it to Toffoli. And you know what? They've been a very open franchise. So you know what? I'm going to go with a very out there prediction. I'm going to say they give it to Toffoli, and they openly say, like into the mic, he's going to hand it over to Celebrini at some point. I don't think they put a timeline on it, but they say like, whether it's the end of this season, next year, maybe 3 seasons, maybe after the Olympics this year. But at some point, we're going to let Toffoli decide when Celebrini's ready to be captain.
And I'd be okay with that. Yeah, absolutely. There's no wrong way they can go about it, really. Like,
and then Celebrini's going to go out there. He's going to score 4 goals in a game. He's going to pull out his pud at center ice. Toffoli's going to rip the C off his jersey, and he's going to go slap it on him at center ice.
Man, do you know how proud Jumbo Joe would be? Fuck, that'd be sick.
Pulls out his D and gets a C. That'd be an all-time moment.
Well, when you live with Jumbo Joe, you learn a few things, and that was...
you pick up a couple things.
Was one of his things. You absolutely do.
You call that a milk and cookies trick?
All right, let's move on to a franchise that's pretty weird. Carolina. Pretty short and simple. From what it sounds like, Carolina's out on both Michael McLeod and Carter Hart. I think this would probably due to...
They seemed a little high and mighty about it, huh? Considering there's currently 32 teams not signing these guys, they really seemed proud to announce, we're not gonna sign them. Look how good we are.
Well, so I think this announcement came because Carolina fans and season ticket holders were going to boycott games if they sign these players. They
Right.
made it very well known that, we don't care if they make us better, give us a better shot at the cup. You bring them in, we are not supporting you. You will lose the support of your fan base, and so I think
They had
that's
a little
kind of
bit
why
of a
Carolina
history
was
of
pretty.
signing some sketchier characters, we'll call them. Bringing D'Angelo in and the likes. So yeah, you know what? You love to see a fan base kind of stand up for it a bit, and that's a good ass Hurricanes team. They don't. Carter Hart might be good. I don't think he's going to be immediately better than Freddie Anderson or Kochetkov. And Michael McLeod, it feels like they've got like 5 guys in their bottom 6 that are Michael McLeod but better. Like if there's
Not better at playing center though.
well,
Jordan
they've got
Stahl, yes, but all the other guys,
so he's not taking Aho's spot, and
no.
he's not taking Stankoven's spot. Stankoven looks great, and Jordan Stahl is your captain, great at defensive
Great. He would be
face-offs. Like,
McLeod would be a great fourth line center for them though.
yeah,
Better
but
than
it's not
Kotkaniemi.
sure, but it's not risk. It's not worth risking
No, it's not worth the risk.
anything for a
Absolutely, but
fourth line center.
no, absolutely. But I'm just saying that he would be a huge upgrade to their fourth line center spot. Like everything else
I think
aside, all
huge
the outside
upgrades a bit
stuff wiped
much.
away. But I think the experiment's just kind of run its course on Kotkaniemi. Like
I don't think Kotkaniemi's
they
as
know
bad
what
as
he is
people
now.
say.
And no, but
Not worth
to
his
be
contract,
making well, and exactly right.
but they're not
Um,
getting out of that contract no matter what, really.
Yeah, I think
Well,
I think it's just
we say that
yeah.
we'll see if somebody takes it on for a pick or something.
But to nobody's surprise, though, it does sound like Vegas is the front runner to land Carter Hart. That is no
Yep.
surprise there.
And
Not confirmed that he's going there, but it sounds like they are the front runner.
yeah, and they did something that it's been a long time since a team did this. And I don't remember who, but a reporter went in and asked. I want to say it was Noah Hannafin about it, and was asking around the team, "Have you heard about the rumors if you guys are going to sign Carter Hart?" And pretty quickly, management caught wind of this. They kicked the guy out fully. They didn't tell him, "Don't ask that." Not into a mic. He was just asking them like on on his own, like for recordings. It wasn't like a live
Yeah,
broadcast. And they stripped his credentials to be a reporter in there, and he can't go ask questions anymore in Vegas. Um, we've seen plenty of guys throughout the years get kicked out, fuck off, talk to us next time. You're not allowed to talk to Draisaitl, stuff like that. You can't talk to certain players. Like, it's been
yeah,
a long time since we've seen a reporter straight up credentials removed. And the fact that he was just asking players, do you know? Is there any word? Have you heard anything about this? And then Vegas comes out and is like, hey, we're we're not worrying about it. We worry about the guys we have signed and stuff, right? And it's like,
yeah,
uh, nobody in like probably a decade has removed credentials like that in such a knee jerk way. There's definitely something there. And not
yeah,
only is there probably something there, they know it's not a good thing to be doing with the way they've reacted. Like
yeah.
it's it's
That's the
the
way I'm interpreting it.
it's the angry guy who's red in the face and screaming and going, "I'm not mad, you're mad." And it's like, you look pretty mad. Like it yeah. Their words say one thing, but multiple of their actions say another. So
Yeah.
yeah, I wonder how
Vegas
hard
is
in
gonna
they are on
Vegas.
Hart. If I believe it's reported they're looking at a 2x2 for him, but
Oh,
it's we'll see if that is how
we'll
it
see what
goes.
happens there.
They've already got what 6.25 mil locked up on Aiden Hill. I
Yeah,
mean, God, this team's paying everybody. How can they still have more money for upwards of 8 mil in a goalie tandem? How do they do it? So
it's a good question.
We'll keep an eye on that and
Um,
let you guys know if any of those guys get
yeah,
signed, especially if it's Vegas.
yeah, it will be Vegas. We are starting to get to the end here. Did you want to say anything on those two preseason games to wrap it up here at all?
Yeah,
I
I'll
didn't really
go
have
over them
much to
quickly.
say on them or add on them, but if you got
It
something,
is pretty quick. There were two in games in particular that I wanted to touch on here. That would be last night's Lightning Panthers game, and I want to say it was 1 or 2 days ago, the Ottawa Senators versus the Montreal Canadiens. Um, both of these games ended up having over or around 150 penalty minutes. Lightning Panthers had 186 penalty minutes for a preseason game, and Canadian Senators had 150 penalty minutes. Um, that would be crazy for a regular season game. These games don't count for anything, so it's
the
wild that it
rivalries
got
are
that out of
alive and
hand.
well.
Um, yeah, just fights everywhere, constant altercations in both games, and also two very frankly chicken shit attempts to injure. One in each game. The one in the Lightning Panthers game we saw, which is kind of where the game started getting heated, was AJ Greer sucker punching Hagel, who got knocked out of the playoffs last year by the Panthers with a concussion. Uh, that was pretty brutal. And I also loved that they have hired Pat Maroon to do the coverage of the game. So we got to hear Pat Maroon talk about it, called Greer gutless. It was pretty funny to listen to. He makes it better to watch. Uh, Greer was fined $2,200. It's whatever. Um,
Yeah, it
but
means nothing to him.
no, yeah, there's not a player in the league that really means anything to. It's so little, but that was pretty brutal. And then the other attempt to injure was in the other game, and that was Nick Cousins took a pretty nasty hack at Demidov. Demidov moved the puck maybe 2 or 3 seconds earlier. Cousins just can't catch up to Demidov. He's not near the skater, and he caught up to him just enough that he could reach forward and just two-hand hacked at a 19-year-old's wrist. And it's like, at least Greer is borderline an NHL player. I can't believe Cousins is still in the league. What a bum. Like that guy is brutal. So I haven't heard anything if he's got any supplemental discipline, a fine, anything, but uh there was a whole lot of fights in both games. I think there might have been like 7 or 8 fights in the Tampa Florida game. I think AJ Greer had 3 majors and a misconduct. Like it
Yeah, it's
was
just hard nosed hockey, though.
these
I
games were
like to
going
see these
crazy.
rivalries getting alive and well.
It's fun when it's like just the fights, right? But when it's like there was no holdings in these games, right? Like it
Hmm.
was a lot of slashing, a lot of high sticking, a lot of boarding. Like it was
Guys going
guys
out
should
of their ways to hit guys, and
yeah, like it was like
two teams that just dislike each other
guys are going to get hurt in these
doing
games.
anything.
Hagel didn't come back to the game after the first period. Chernak was out after a high stick. There was almost a really brutal knee on knee that happened for one of our really young rookies. Uh, Last name's James. I don't even know his first name. He was great last night. Connor Geeky scored a sick highlight reel spinorama goal that's been going around. That was fun. But yeah, man, I was just like, bro, it's the preseason. I fully understand why they're going at it, but like it's I wish that there wasn't the rules of how many guys you needed because like we should just ice a full AHL lineup next game. Like I don't want them. They're going out there to hurt people. Like that's
But that's both sides, both teams.
yeah. Once it gets started by them punching Hagel in the head, and
Well,
I will say, and it's going to come off as biased, right? How could it not? But Tampa, there was a lot of hard hitting. There was way less hacking and slashing. Ooh, Rodriguez. He had a really dirty moment that Luckily, it didn't go off, so it didn't become a thing, but he straight up took the butt end of his stick and tried to spear it through Gord's face. If that hit, that would have been really bad, but he missed him because the ref's arm deflected it.
I mean, I can't really add much on this because I didn't watch the game, so I've only seen
Tampa was not
some
clean in
highlights
it.
and
Tampa was not clean in
and
it, but
clips. I didn't see any of the
there was a lot
Toronto
of
and
really bad ones.
or Ottawa Montreal game at all. I didn't see any of that.
That one I didn't. The only like blatant like attempt to injure level thing was the Nick Cousins slash. That was like the puck was gone. He very clearly looks and finds his hands. Like that was bad. The rest of them, it looked like just a lot of fighting and stuff, which is like, I mean, you can get injured in a fight, but like it's within the rules of the game, kind of thing like that,
Mhm.
right? So
I mean, it's just the way rivalries go. Like I get people say, well, it's preseason, but it's like players aren't going to be like, oh, it's preseason, let's play shinny. Like it's the rivalries are there, and it goes beyond the teams at this point. Like it's the players actively, like dislike each other. And so it's just hard to separate them. Be like, it's preseason, don't do that. It's like once you're out there and you're in the moment and caught up in it, players are.
I just so badly wish
do their thing for the rivalry.
I wish those teams would face each other at the start of the preseason when it's a lot more of the AHL guys. And then like I wish because our next game is also against Florida. There are 2 final preseason games. I wish that was like Carolina or some shit, right? Like
when I imagine a lot of guys are going to be resting and not playing in that game now from both sides. Like they're gonna, it's going to be the guys that want to go
like
out there and fight.
20-team roster, right? Like you can't really rest a lot of guys because there's not other guys to play, right? Are you allowed to still move guys up?
Yep.
Okay, because I actually don't know if there's a limit on that.
No, you definitely can.
Okay.
My biggest takeaway from the preseason here, and I never thought I'd be saying this. I like Ryan Reeves on my team. I like watching. It's one of those things. You always talk. It's like I've said it before, and I talk about Ryan Reeves. When I was like, oh, I dislike him, I'm like, but fuck, if he was on my team, I know I'd love him. And
there you go.
Watching him there protecting his teammates and throwing bodies, it's like, that's the way it goes. That's how hockey goes. And when guys are on your team, you love them, and when you're watching your team fight, your rival team and going toe to toe and the physicality. Again, whether it's playoffs, regular season, preseason, like it's gonna happen, and that's what makes these rivalries so good. And I still wish the NHL would just take our idea of final day of the regular season, just every team plays, and it's all rival matchups.
Be so good.
Just see how many penalty minutes can get racked up on the final day of the regular season. I think that would be
no blackouts. Like just a advertiser's dream. Get this game out there. All these games are going to be bangers. And if those teams, if they're rivals, clearly they're going to be in the same division, at least the conference. And if there's playoff implications on Game 82, it would be so good. Take our idea. We have no trademark on this, NHL. This is a freebie. Go for it. It'll be so good.
Absolutely. But that is, I think we are at the tail end of the episode here. Bit of a long one, but we did know it was going to be that way based on the insane amount of news that has come out.
So much gone
we
on.
are, about 4 days away from the start of the regular season. I guess by the time Tuesday's episode comes out next week, that'll be the day. That'll be the day that NHL action is starting. So we are finally there. We're got so through close. The shitty off season. Preseason's almost done. There obviously will be more news that we'll be talking about, and we'll have a pretty good idea of what the final rosters are for most teams. We could talk about any major news there. But if you want to talk hockey, you want us to know your thoughts on everything we discussed, or anything we may have missed, or let us know your thoughts on any of the extensions, you can do so through any of our socials. You know where they are, all down below. Braden, We are at an hour 54 here, and you know what time it is. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. There has been not even from, the mentioned dirty plays and stuff, just, stuff like Barkov, just random injuries, even non-contact sometimes, all over the place this preseason. From here on out, I am hoping for all teams just no injuries in games or otherwise. I'm hoping everyone stays healthy. Doesn't mess with anybody's fantasy drafts that they've got going on in their fantasy leagues. No players that got picked are now out on LTIR. I am hoping everyone stays healthy because that means we will have the best level of competition once the regular season starts.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more with that there. But that is it for this episode one final time. Hope all of you enjoyed. And as always, we will see all of you lovely people out on the ice next week.